Hello everyone, it has been a week and a half hiatus, but we're back, we are live, we are ready to go. And just to kind of remind people of kind of where we were at the conclusion of the previous stream a week and a half ago, I'm trying to collect more science, and I put a couple of science probes, actually several science probes in and around Kerbin. And what I want to do over this episode and the next episode is do the same thing around Minmus. That's the main thing I want to do. I want to start collecting the science, and this is all in preparation to really start to exploit what's going on Minmus. I would like to eventually put a space station in around Minmus. I want a lander dock to that station. I want a vehicle that's capable of getting from low Kerbin orbit out to Minmus, and for that matter to the moon as well, though I'm just ignoring the moon for now, and really start to just kind of haul in as much of that precious science that I can from Minmus. But I want to start that all off by getting some mapping done. I got some new mapping toys that came from the SCANsat mod, and I want to get those out to Minmus and start getting some maps, because I have very little around Minmus. I did want to show something before we get going with all of this. You can see all of these little lightning bolts. These are solar storms in progress, which are affecting the vast majority of my probes. You'll also notice that some of them have some critical and malfunctions and some critical failures. These are really old probes that are, in many cases, more than 10 years old. Last stream, we did, let me take a look at these. Yes, down here on Kerbin, it's these ones. I crashed some probes on Kerbin. They meant to go into orbit. They didn't quite make it, but they seemed to survive the crash. But the problem, and they started collecting some science. I can check them all out from here, which is kind of nice. They've collected 20 megabytes of science, of gravity scan science from the grasslands, and then unfortunately the hard drive became full. The antennas broke on impact and they couldn't transmit anything. And if you look, 20 megabytes of science is 0.0 credits of science. So that was a great big bust. So I'll recover those in just a little bit. No, I definitely don't want to go there. Oh shoot. I said I definitely don't want to go there, and what do? I hit the go button. Oh my gosh. What a special guy I am. Well, now you get to see what I'm talking about with these probes. There they are. These sad little puppies with their busted antennas crashed on the beach here. What I wanted to do, and this is really for giggles more, I want to show you one of these old, because while I was investigating what mapping I've done and what mapping I've not done, I looked at some of my old mapping satellites from earlier on, and I want to just show you this one. This is what a satellite with critical failures looks like. So this is MapSat-1, the first mapping satellite I put around Kerbin, and check out these solar panels. It's the colors, man. Look at the yellow and the red and everything. So everything that's yellow is a repairable failure. In other words, you can send a Kerbal up here and they can repair it. Anything that's red is busted beyond repair. Thankfully, this thing completed its mapping duties quite some time ago, but I don't know. When I got out here, it made me laugh, so I thought I'll show that to you. But what I want to do is get myself to the Space Center. And I want to get going in building some mapping satellites around Minmus. Well, starting building and then sending them to Minmus. We're not going to build them around Minmus, of course. All right, so let's get ourselves into the vehicle assembly building. And let's start off with, I do have some contracts here, and I actually picked up some contracts to do some scanning around Kerbin, because that was kind of my first plan. I'll do the scanning around Kerbin and then I'll make my way out. But then I thought, no, let's just cut to the chase and go to Minmus. Minmus is what I'm interested in. So I'll do these Kerbin ones at some point. But here, I got 4 SCANsat mapping satellites, or contracts, to do a high-resolution altimetry scan around Minmus, do a high-resolution visual scan around Minmus, do a low-resolution resource scan around Minmus, and to do a multispectral SCANsat. And this is all going to go and feature new equipment. So why don't we, tell you what, let me just throw out a tank here for now. And I'll just show you the new equipment that we got. So for the visual scan, we have the VS-1 high-resolution imager. Stick that on the side here. We'll zoom on in, take a close look at it. So basically this is a camera. And we can extend it. And I love, look at the reflection on the mirror on the bottom. Isn't that beautiful? It's like a little mini Hubble telescope. That's a wonderful little thing. And so that's going to do the high resolution visual scan of Minmus, and I've not used it before, so at some point I should be sticking them around other places. We also have the SAR X antenna. That is this one. It's a bit awkward. There it is. It doesn't extend or anything. This is the whole thing. And this is to do a high resolution altimetry scan. It's a radar scanner. And then I also have a new MS-R enhanced multispectral scanner. This is one I've used before. This one is the enhanced one, and it will do a high resolution biome scan as well as doing a resource scan at the same time. And we can extend that. That's its entire bag of tricks when it comes to animations. So what I want to do, get rid of all this stuff, is send some probes out to Minmus. I want to send them all on the same vehicle and then have them be dropped in their appropriate orbits. Now they all have different orbits they should be in. If I right click on the imager here, the imager has a best orbit of 70 kilometers in altitude. If I go to the radar altimeter, its best altitude is 250 kilometers, quite a bit different. And if I go to the multispectral scanner, its best altitude is 300 kilometers. So my idea is to build one vehicle, get an orbit around Minmus. This will be a polar orbit. Starting at 300 kilometers, drop a probe that's holding this fella. Then move on down to 250 kilometers, drop a probe holding this one. And then move down to 70 kilometers, and that will be that. Then won't drop another probe. The final thing will be that probe, and it'll do that one. So that's the whole plan. So let's get started with this. So as always of late, we'll be starting with the OKTO 2 probe core. And this isn't going to require any form of propulsion at all. It just needs to be able to do the scanning. So, well, let's actually, speaking of science, configure this probe and take out the Kerbalism science, because that has been done. We'll do that at some other, actually it hasn't been, I don't know, I have to look to see if it was done, but even if it has done, I want to do it at a different time. Let's get out our I think this one is, yeah, the 300 kilometer one, and I'm gonna just for now stick that on the top. And we will simulate that in our scanning planner. And we also going to need, while I'm thinking about it, some inline reaction wheels. There we go. And this thing we can see here is 1.03 units of electric charge that it's going to consume. So we got to make sure we can generate that. So tell you what I'll do is I'm going to take one of these Z200 batteries, and then I'm going to put on probably just a couple of these. That should do. These guys. And that will generate 3.28 units of electric charge per second, so more than adequate. I only need one of them, but it's good to have two because they can wear out, they can break. So what I'm going to do is remove the symmetry, and when we get up to orbit, when we get out there, we'll only extend one of them, and then if this one breaks at some time in the future, I can extend the other one. But again, easy. Oh, this one shouldn't be counted in the planner then. But even with just the one, it's 1.64. That's easily enough. Okay, as far as, let's make sure I got this all right. I believe this one, yes it does. It makes, yeah. This requires, if we look down here, it requires daylight. See the little, that's meant to be a check mark. That this thing will only operate on the daylight side of Minmus. When it goes to the night side of Minmus, it won't work anymore, but that's good because what that means is it won't be running any, you know, this will turn off, which means it won't be using up a ton of electricity, and now it's only going to use up 0.03 units of electric charge right now. And in the dark, that will last for a day, which will easily survive a Minmus night. So will it at 3 kilometers? I hope so. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Yeah, hopefully that'll be okay. And what else? Oh, I need to transmit that. Now, one thing when it comes to, whoops, sorry, I just made a little, there we go. One thing that's unfortunate is SCANsat doesn't quite get along with Kerbalism. And so if you look at most of the science, see, it gives you all kinds of information here about, here, let's look at one of the ones that transmits. It gives you information about, you know, how much, what it's, well, electricity, but also, there it is, how much data it will collect and what's the rate at which it collects data. But if you go to the SCANsat stuff, you get none of that. And in fact, I don't even think you get the science, but I've had the experience in the past with these things just clog up the drive really quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a fairly fast antenna, even though I don't know what the rate is. So I'm going to use this Communitron DTSM1, extend that, and we're also going to up the hard drive space in here as much as we can. So hopefully we won't run into any data issues. Now, what's the mass of this thing? Get it out of the way. It is 50 kilograms, and what's the mass of the scanner? 125. Oh, wait, it doesn't matter. This thing won't be under thrust. Okay, so this looks very goofy. So what I need to do now, honestly, I'm thinking this is all I need. Right? Like, let's open up our checklist, but I'm thinking this is all I need. There's no fine print to worry about. It'll have control because of the reaction wheel. In fact, while I'm thinking about it, let's turn that wheel authority way down. It doesn't need KOS. Configured the probes. Science is set up. Power generation's okay. Electrical storage is okay, I think. What is it gonna? It'll survive for. This is not being. An hour and 43 minutes. I think that should be all right. Oh, but it won't be transmitting either. It should be fine. Tennis speed. Oh, some lights. I should put some lights on it. Might put on. You know what? I think I'll put on some more batteries too. This is just temporary light placement to remind me I want lights. Blink on. My traditional blinky amber lights. Okay, so this is everything it needs. What I want to do is just make it not look ridiculously stupid. Maybe if I got a couple of structural bits. I want to keep it fairly small. What does it look like if I start to recess this in a bit? It might just be what it is. Lights, whoops. So what I meant to do, I meant to grab the lights, but I grabbed that instead. Gray those out. I'm thinking this is a probe. I'm thinking this is a probe I can drop. There we go. Didn't have my chat refreshing. There, I just fixed that up. Okay, and I'm thinking this is about the end of it. So let's retract this. Retract this. And let's get a fairing involved. Hopefully we can get all of this going in a, maybe a bigger fairing. Let's get that one. Let's put on the interstage nodes. I want to be able to stick some stuff under it still. I think that should be okay. Whoops. Oh, what I need is a decoupler. Silly. And here's what I'm going to do. Something I neglected doing with the decoupler last time I did this, just drop some, is if I take the decoupler and flip it upside down, so you see the little base of the triangles on here, this will remain attached to this probe, and then there'll be nothing left to be attached to this platform, and this platform will disappear, which will greatly help, I think, the aesthetics of all this. All right, let's basically what I'm looking at is actually here. Let's make the fairing the root part. Let's try and stick another one under here. That's kind of the idea, like that. And this one will be, what's my next bit of sciencey stuff? I think it is the, let's get rid of that checklist entirely. The SAR one, yeah, it's got to go into 251, and it's, these are such awkward shapes. That's really looks bad. And I got a feeling if I put it on the top, it'll just be too wide, right? Well, maybe that's not terrible. Maybe that's not a terrible idea for this either. Nah, I'll keep it where it was. Let's try and see. We can make this a little taller, maybe. Take that out. Go down another couple of them. Maybe two more of those little cubic struts. Put this guy back. Uh-oh. Here. Notice how it's finding the interstage nodes. So the easiest way to fix that is to go into here, turn off the interstage nodes. Oh dear. We got lots of goofiness happening. There. The interstage nodes was messing that up, so I just temporarily turned them off. I think that's a doable thing. Yeah, we're going to drop these in orbit so that they won't require any form of... you know what? I might just double up these lights here. 'Cause this thing's long. So they don't require any propulsion. We're going to drop them in the orbit that's required of them. What I'm just curious is if I can go up one more node on this. Put those interstage nodes back on. There. That should do her. I think so. So that's probe number 2. Now I should be checking. Let's switch up. Let's make this guy the root part. And can I remove... Yes, that's what I meant to do. Excellent. I'm not sure why things are being highlighted. There we go. Okay, so will this thing survive okay? So let's, again, simulate that in the planner. It's going to require 2.03 units of electric charge. If I put it in the sunlight, it's not enough. It requires both of these antennas. Ooh. Well, I'll just have to work on both of them in order to work. Does it need more battery storage? That's a very good question. This, going to this. Well, this thing, notice, operate, it doesn't require daylight, which means that scanner is going to keep working even in the nighttime. So I have to make sure that this thing can survive a Minmus night. And what will it survive right now? If I put it in the dark, it will only survive for 7 minutes. That's not good enough. I worked out it needs to survive for at least about half an hour. So what we're going to do, it's actually a pretty easy fix. Just more of these batteries. Can I just, so I need the length. Oh shoot, I'm doubling up the antenna. Do it this way. Don't need 4. Okay, now it'll survive. Oh, only 11 minutes. Oh my gosh. This thing, yeah, 2.13 units of electric charge per second. Okay, we're going to need more juice. More juice. So let's get rid of all those because I think I got too much length now. Let's add in one more of these, but we need more electricity. So this thing, what will this add to it? And again, what I'm looking at, whoops, is this duration in the dark. It needs to survive for about half an hour. So all I'm doing is just adding batteries until it will do that. 26 minutes. Oh my gosh. What if I took this very, very bottom one off and replaced it with one more Z200? 27 minutes, one more Z200? You know what I could put, what might be a better idea, is to take one of these batteries, because there's room here, there's just not room on the other side. Move that antenna up. And all I want from this is the lights. Make them dark. And lose that. That is a probe. It'll last 30 minutes. I think that will survive the night okay. Is this antenna being counted in there? Yep. Does it look okay when it extends? I think so. Get a little higher. Oh, I don't want 4 of them, that's for sure. So that's mapping satellite number 2 for Minmus. Okay. Coupler on the bottom. There. And in fact, whoops, I don't want that. Make the decoupler again the root part. And all I want to do is grab this and rotate it, because I just want, if I deploy the solar panels, ooh, then again, no, you know what? No, let's rotate it back. It's either the solar panels are going to clip or, ugh, all of that looks kind of... Well, we'll test this thing in orbit, make sure everything deploys okay. In fact, while I'm thinking about it, put that ejection force down to 0. Ejection force down to 0. Let's give this thing a name, and these are the Minmus mappers. Okay, save that. All right. And okay, so that is 2 mapping satellites ready to go. Actually, let's, are these on? No, they're not. Okay, good, good. We'll start in the off position. The last piece of equipment I need is the high resolution imager, and I'm hoping it will fit right under here. And in fact, I can see it's going to. I'm going to turn off the interstage nodes. I just want to stick, yeah, it's going to fit in there easy. So what we're going to do is, let's put on some batteries. Actually, let's put on a KOS probe core, because this is going to be the main vehicle. Let's put on another probe body. Why am I having trouble with that? There we go. And let's see, will this still fit? It's fitting, isn't it? I can convince myself that fits. Sure. Yeah, why not? Why not convince yourself that that fits? And then what we'll do is it, yeah, is that on the very, it's a very good question. If I put the interstage nodes back on, do I have this as high as it will go? Is this on the very top? It is on the very top one. Okay, so this is as much as I'm going to squeeze in here. You know what I'll do? Just felt a little tight. Put that back. Turn off the interstage nodes. And then I'll put a 1.25 meter service bay under here. We'll cram everything else we need inside that. So inside that's going to go a set of reaction wheels and at least a couple of these batteries. I still got to figure out how much battery power I need. That should do it. Okay. So what I want to do, I'm going to make now this the root part. We'll take this little probe out. We'll take this little probe out. So once those are deployed, we're just down to this. And again, we got to think about electricity. So let's put that into our simulation. And the imager, I can't imagine works at nighttime. It doesn't. So this is again one that's going to turn off when it's in the night side. So that will make our lives, we don't have to worry about putting enough batteries for the imager to run through the night. But it will last for, okay, if I take this off and I put an antenna on, again, the sticky right there for now. This will last for 2 hours. That will easily get it through the night. That's easy peasy. Okay. So let's extend that. Got enough batteries on there. That is simulated. It uses up 0.863 units of electric charge per second. I'm thinking I'm going to need some solar panels. You know what I could do? And people in the chat can tell me if this is stupid. I'm sure that will be fine. Why not? In fact, what I'm going to do is take this whole thing here and rotate it that way. Again, we'll remove the symmetry because I believe it only needs one of these in order to power it. Yeah, I think that'll be good. And then they tuck away nice. Retract that solar panel. Retract that solar panel. Sure. I'm fine with that. And they close okay? Sure. All right, so bump. We can put now our dubers back on, our other probes, because I think, oh, I got to put the interstage nodes back on. And, oh, this thing needs some lights for sure. Let's put in some of these little spotlights so we can light up the inside bit here a bit. No, that's the blink period, silly. I'm just trying to just roll them a little bit. 45 here. Much easier just to type in 45 degrees there. So that when these come on, They light up in there. That's okay. Optically, that's a really dumb idea now that I'm thinking about it, because, I mean, the last thing an optical little telescope like this is going to need is a light shining on it, but I don't care. It perhaps isn't realistic, but I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, so that's that, that's that, that's that, that's that. Yeah, let's close this. And I need some delta V, don't I? I need finally to put some fuel and some stuff on it. And I'm figuring around 12 to 1300 meters per second should be enough for us to get out to Minmus and then do the various orbital changes. In Minmus, it's pretty inexpensive, relatively speaking. What happens if I stick this on with, well, my favorite little orbital engine lately has been the Spark. The mighty little Spark engine. There we go. It's 2,585 meters per second already. Oh my gosh. We can calm down even. Always surprises me sometimes how small the... Oh, now, I remember last time I got into... Yeah, these guys aren't agreeing. And it has to do with depending on what you have as your root part. Let's change that to the root part. There we go. Now they agree. 840 meters per second. Okay. Kerbal Engineer can get confused depending upon what you have selected as the root part. So you got to be careful of that. 1,458 meters per second. I think that's something. I think that's something. Yes, we are live. Al Johnson was asking, is this live? Yes, we are live. I'm just really bad. Actually, I was having issues just a little while. The chat wasn't scrolling down. It's doing fine now, but I don't know why it wasn't. So it was people were saying things that I wasn't noticing the chat moving. Okay, 1431. I think that should be fine. 0.75 thrust to weight ratio should definitely be fine. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build me a fairing. Oh, wait a second. I'm sorry. I'm just realizing something foolish. That's okay for the whole getting to LKO, but I want this to also deal with the upper part. Yes. I want this also to deal with the upper part of the insertion. I've been doing that lately with my probes and finding that that works so much better. So I'm going to get a more powerful engine here. Because I noticed my thrust to weight wasn't the greatest. This one's 20 kilonewtons. This one's 25. It's probably sketchy. So about 12, 13. I might be getting into the Terrier engine, though I'm sure that's probably way too big. Oh no, that's pretty good. That might be more kind of in the ballpark of what I'm thinking. I think so. Sorry, and the reason for that last minute change, here, I'll leave it like this, is because I like this to also deal with the upper part of the insertion, and so that means an extra about 1,000 meters per second of delta V. But the thrust to weight of that Spark on there with the smaller, it was already at 0.75, so I knew as soon as I doubled up the fuel like this that it would bring the thrust to weight too low. That's looking okay. Okay, let's now build the fairing. And I want to just put this thing in orbit and just test that all the deployment happens okay without stuff breaking and all of that kind of thing. So let's save this. Here, let's close this contract there. Don't need that. Let's save this. Let's open up the KRASH simulator. We're going to simulate this in Kerbal orbit. Sure, a 75-kilometer Kerbal orbit should be fine. No Mercy's asking about torques. I think it's a good question, No Mercy. I should be looking at the torque because there are some asymmetries going on. It might be okay because there are a lot of reaction wheels in there, but yeah, we should definitely give it a try. All right, so here we are, And we got the whole wireframe thing happening. We can put our lights on. It always looks, oh, that looks, I don't know, it's like X-ray vision. Okay, so what we're going to do, let's deploy the fairing. If I can find, that's the fairing there. Let's make sure that deploys cleanly. That looks good. Antennas don't look broken. No, they do not. And we can extend that antenna. Is it going to extend for me? It is. We can deploy this probe. There it goes. We can extend solar panels. Yep, they're all working. Okay, let's deploy our second probe. Somewhere in here there's a decoupler. There it is. Actually, let's SAS on. Let's just spin this up this way. Again, we got to make sure we can extend this antenna. Nothing broke there. Nope, we can decouple this. I'm in the wrong. And this will extend. Nothing's broken. There we go. So everything seems to be working all right. Here's the main. Okay. So let's terminate our simulation. That was all about. It's always sketchy with the fairings and a lot of stuff packed close together that okay, and the question came up about torque. And that is a very good question. So I'm going to use Kerbal Engineer here. And we're taking a look at the torque of 1.2 kilonewton meters. And the reason why there's a bit of asymmetry in here is because of, ooh, I guess that's okay. Just noticing the, yeah, I guess so. Let's try taking this top probe. Oh, everything is, oh, that's because that's the, yeah, gotta change the root part again. I'm gonna try and just change this. So what is it, 1.2, oh, now it's all messed up. I wanna take this and rotate it. So that one scanner's on one side and then the other scanner's on the other side. I'm hoping that will help with the torque. Now we need to make the top part the root part again. Oh, it spun the whole beast around. Well, now the torque is only 1.3 or 0.13 kilonewton meters. I am sure, I have little doubt that that will be fine. I have little doubt indeed. Okay, so I'm thinking this is a whole thing. I'm thinking it. I don't know, now I'm playing with, okay, let's stop with that. And let's start thinking about getting this thing into orbit. So, what are the mass here? It is about 4.4 tons. So I'm going to get into my subassemblies somewhere. Here we go. Subassemblies, take a look at the boosters that I have pre-built. Arrange them by mass. How about you? How will you do? It's got a really dumb decoupler on here. Let's take that decoupler. Oh, I took the whole engine off. Bum, bum, bum. Different decoupler. Decouplers. That one. Okay, this can't be right. The staging's gotta be messed up. So we got the 3 boosters, then that, at the same time as that. This needs to be here. Let's fix that up. Okay, 5430 meters per second of delta V. I'm thinking about 1200. Oh my God, that's a ton. That is a ton, right? I'm thinking 3600 into low Kerbin orbit, about another 12, so about 4800. I guess it doesn't hurt to have more, but I might be able to do with a smaller booster than this one. Let's put you aside. Let's go to a different one. Let's go a little smaller. There is the Reliant RT2 booster, which has got a giant fairing on it, which it doesn't need. basically much the same thing, but with 2 radial boosters on the side. That is 53. That's still a lot. What happens if I just, well, let's keep stepping down. Stepping down my booster parade. I do have the swivel with hammers on it. That's not nearly enough. I have the swivels with thumpers on it. Dun, dun, dun. This is messed up. You know what? I'm going to go with this one. Plenty of delta V. Doesn't hurt to have too much. There is an unnecessary fairing there. Again, we will fix this decoupler. There. There. Staging, something's wrong. Definitely. That needs to be with that. These guys here, let's take this fairing out of the staging diagram entirely. And then these decouplers are the ones that are up there that I'll do manually. Yeah, we'll go with this. Let's just go with it. It's probably need to take out a little bit of fuel, but it doesn't hurt to remove a bit of fuel. Oh, it already had some fuel out of it. Again, about 48. There we go. That's about 5,000 meters per second. That's way more than it needs. I think this should be good. This should be good. Let's play with thrust to weights. This needs to have more thrust. Lie like a launch thrust of 1.33. And then does this... Oh, it doesn't have a lot of thrust at the very, very top end. Let's swap out that swivel engine for a Reliant engine, which is a little bit more powerful. Just to get a little bit more kick at the top end. That helps. 1.99 thrust to weight at the top end. Need a little bit more. Actually, a little bit less here. The Reliant's lighter too, but it doesn't have the engine gimbaling. That's why. Play with fairing colors. There we go. I'm going with it. I'm going with it. Oh, wait. This only says 3,000. Oh, no. I'm in Atmo. 5,008 meters per second. That should be fine. 1.99 thrust to weight ratio on that engine, which is a lot. And then the top engine doesn't need that much thrust. I think I'm going to go for it. Just like this. Okay, let's save this. Action groups. And then we're going to launch. Yeah. And head off to Minmus, hopefully. Shouldn't let myself get too far ahead. Okay, so on action group 5 goes this fairing. My KOS script will deal with all of that. On action group 0, which is what the script uses to say, hey, we're in space now, we're going to open up these guys. And we're also, if it will let me get here, let's open them this way. I'm also going to toggle on one of these antennas. It might not actually let me because it might think the doors are like they're going to trigger at the same time. And it might say these doors are open so the antenna won't deploy. We'll see what happens. And also, whoops, there should be... Oh, I'm missing... I must have took that off by mistake at one point. I'm glad I just noticed I am missing the Communitron DTS antenna for this bottom half of the probe. So that guy needs to be in the action groups too, and that will be on 0. We will deploy that antenna. Boom, boom, boomity boom, boom, boom. Let's give a little bit, a smidge more fuel. Get this back up over 5,000. There, 5,001. And of course, a little bit more thrust. There. All right. Okay, let's go through our final checklist here and make sure everything's okay. So fine print, the fine print for these contracts is just to map a certain percentage of the planets. So there's not much fine print. It'll have control. KOS, I do need to configure. I just realized this. That KOS core, I need to put in my boot file, and I need to up the disk space. And actually, while I'm thinking about it, I should up the disk capacity on that guy. Yep. Ooh, that added a lot of mass. Okay, a little bit more fuel. Didn't know hard drives were so expensive. And a little bit more thrust again. There we go. Okay, sorry, so that's good. Pro bodies, have they all been configured? There should be no other science that's done. So this one, no, it wants to do a temperature scan and a telemetry report. We shan't have that. None. Good. The other ones I think should be good. Yep. And yeah, no other science, no other science. Okay. Science been taken care of. Power generation, electrical storage, antenna strength, antenna speed, data storage, propulsion, RCS, doesn't need it. Parachutes done, thermal, lights took care of. Upgrades, the only thing I might upgrade, because this will be doing a lot of burns, is the Terrier. It has 23, that should be fine. I'm not going to upgrade it. Thrust to weight ratios are all fine. I tested the fairing already, and I've been checking my staging. My staging looks good. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. These are the Minmus Mappers. People are asking names of the probes. So these are the Minmus Mappers. I will probably call this Minmus Mapper A, Minmus Mapper B, and Minmus Mapper C. Once they are separated, I'll just rename them. Okay. Smart parts. Thank you. Just PX Delta just said smart parts. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. These older boosters, I keep forgetting to upgrade them. Smart parts take care of the staging for me. So for instance, this part will look for the solid fuel to go empty, and when that happens, it will trigger the stage action group, and that will obviously stage these boosters. And the smart part will probably go right here for this one. And it's looking at liquid fuel. When it gets down to 0, it will stage. And then it doesn't need any more. Thank you for the smart parts. Okay. Save again. Still got over 5,000 meters per second of delta V. I think we're good. So we are going to launch. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Go into Minmus. Go into Minmus, and hopefully everything will go fine. All right, so here we are. We are all set and ready to go. I didn't test the booster at all. One thing. Let's go set Minmus as our target. Now, I always like to... Can I get rid of... Where is... I don't want to see that waypoint. I guess it's just going to be there anyway. Okay, fine. This is where we are. Now, we want to launch... Actually, let's take the station off so we're not seeing it. There we go. Want to launch at the equatorial ascending or descending node of Minmus's orbit. Looks like we are approaching that. And I should have, now that I've selected Minmus as a target, I keep thinking, yes, here it is here. We are, I guess this one, 1,870. No, it's growing. Did we just miss our opportunity? Yes, we did just miss our opportunity. So we are 2 hours and 26 minutes away from the relative ascending node. I was confused last time I did this with the little L's, and the L stands for landed, of course. Okay, so I'm just going to quick save because I'm about to do some time warping. And what we're going to do is we're going to time warp I never trust my time warping until we are a few minutes. There we go. We're about 7 minutes ahead. Oh, got some seismic scan data. Looks like a sunset launch. According to this, we should be at the equatorial ascending node. It certainly looks good, doesn't it? We'll trust it. We'll trust it. And we're going to launch to the north at an angle of 6 degrees. And we are just losing the sun, it looks like. Okay, but that's what it is. Okay, let's see here. We are 6 minutes, and I want to go a few minutes ahead. I always do it a few minutes ahead because of the time it takes to get up and get your orbit all inserted. Let's go a little faster. 4 minutes. And 3 minutes. That's good. It's not at all precise here. Okay, we're going to run our launch script. We're going into a 6-degree orbit. We're going to go into an 80-kilometer orbit. That should do it. Let's punch it. And we're off. And so far, so good. Yeah. And the whole plan with why you launch at the equatorial ascending or at the equatorial descending node with Minmus is so that, and launch, in this case, 6 degrees towards the north, is, for those people that have never done this or watched me do this, we will end up in a parking orbit that will be in the same plane as Minmus's orbit, which makes the transfer out to Minmus much, much easier, as you'll see once I do the transfer. But right now, why don't we just watch this? I see so many times, YouTubers as well, and experienced YouTubers, they just go right into an equatorial orbit when going to Minmus, and then they shoot out towards Minmus and then have to do a plane change along the way, a normal correction, which is not that expensive. I mean, I'll admit it, but I mean, why not just do it this way? It just seems so much simpler, so much easier. And if you don't have things like Kerbal Engineer to kind of help you out with this, you can just eyeball it. It works just fine. Okay, how are we getting here? Our apoapsis is about 35 kilometers. We just nerfed our thrust, or my script did. So you don't want to let that time to apoapsis get too far ahead of you. And it makes the launch more efficient. Keeping the apoapsis just a little bit ahead of the rocket. All right. Good, good, good. And if I have this all timed out right, this should run out of fuel before we get to our target apoapsis. And I don't know, I did it pretty quickly, so it might not do that. There goes locking onto the prograde vector. Does that at 40 kilometers. I could probably do that earlier, but I don't know. I don't see a huge reason to change it now. And at 50 kilometers, we're going to lose the fairings. We got the sun setting there behind us. About 350 meters per second left in this lower stage, so that should work out well. There we go. Oh no, I saw bits breaking off. I saw bits. Okay, there's one solar panel broken here. If that's it, I think I'm okay, because I think this top one only needed the one, so it won't have a backup. Shoot! Stupid fairing. I think that's all that broke. I think the one solar panel that's on that matches that one broke off. But I believe I had that set up as a spare, so that should be okay. Okay, we're on to the Terrier engine. And we are almost at our target apoapsis. Okay, engine cut off. Let's time. Can I time warp? Sometimes I do the physics warp and these things go wonky on me, but it seems to be okay. Get out to space, and then at that point it's going to set up the insertion. Okay, 69, 70, there it goes. Stuff deploying, lights coming on. I should check to make sure. I want to make sure none of these scanners are on just yet. No, they're all off. Good, good, good. Okay, yep. Let's keep that on that window, though. Okay, 1 minute and 40 seconds away from that burn. And let's get out to Minmus. Okay. So got 183 meters per second left to finalize this insertion, but there's still 1941 meters per second. So this thing will have a ton of fuel. Should be able to do this all pretty easily unless I've completely botched my estimation of what this should cost. It's kind of unfortunate Kerbalism doesn't really work well with SCANsat. I mean, it's, you know, SCANsat's still worth having for sure, so it's not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination. Here we go. Program has ended. Let's just leave it like this. I'm sure it's fine. Okay. Let's get to... I don't know. I don't think I get the science from the SCANsat stuff. I still get the scans anyway. But if you take a look at our blue orbit, this is what I was talking about. Notice how it is in the same plane as Minmus's orbit, which is in yellow. We have a difference in inclination of 0.2 degrees, which is nothing to complain about. Okay, where is Minmus? But what this means is our correction should be pretty small. Well, this should be about 920. I should just type that in. 920, not 9,209, 9,020. That should do it. And we'll just play around with the timing of this a little bit. The other way. Here we go. Let's get out towards Minmus. And I want to go into a polar orbit. So basically what I want is to come either north or south of Minmus. Let's play with this maneuver once again. Let's play with the timing. Can I get it? Yeah, that gets it closer. Oh, I think I'm going to need a little bit more prograde. Yeah. Whoop. Trying to get the timing just right, but I think I need to come in. So you can see, if I wanted to hit Minmus, I wouldn't require any kind of correction at all. Unfortunately, I don't want to hit Minmus. It would have been better to be off a little bit so I come to the north or come to the south. So we will have to do an inclination change, but that's all right. That's not a big deal. I'm going to just adjust this so that this is... There we go. That looks good. All right. So that burn's coming up in 17 and a half. Yeah, 17 minutes. So let's time warp a little closer. Actually, just do it this way, silly. There we go. And we'll run our maneuver executor. I love me my KOS. So that's going to handle the burn for me. It is a 49-second burn. Which is actually pretty... What's my thrust to weight? 1.66. I might... which is fine. It's fine, but I might just turn it down a little bit after this. All right. Not a bad little probe for something I just kind of really banged together quickly. At least I think I banged it. Well, it's 3 probes, isn't it? There we go. A little bit of time warping. Make this go quicker. And let's see here, getting close, so I should turn the time warp off. And reducing its throttle at the end. And burn is complete. Okay. And program has ended. And then finally, we'll run our oh my gosh, it was a line, I think. A line to the dorsal vector? Was it a D? Hey! It's doing it right. And this is for the solar panels. See? So it puts the solar panel perpendicular, at least it should be. It's going to take a bit to settle down. Perpendicular to the ecliptic, which is this galaxy, which is good for solar exposure. Okay, let's go and make our normal correction. Should be done at about the halfway point. Now, am I going more above or more below? I think I'm going more below, though it's not by much. Play around with the timing a little bit. Oh, well, that's not going to make much of a difference, is it? Sooner. Oh, no, I'm at about the right spot. I always like to play around with the timing and just see what's the one that moves it the most. I can see I need to come kind of radially inwards here. This way? Nope, the other way. So I want to be polarific. Like that, and then normal down. And I want this to be at 300 kilometers. So this is a little bit of a correction. Oh, that's really close. This way. And it's not super precise that it has to be 300 kilometers. I'm trying to judge if this periapsis is really right below this. I'm not convinced it is. We can correct inclination when we get there. That's pretty darn close. That's 302 kilometers on our periapsis. That was too much of a change. There we go. 300 kilometers on that closest approach, because that is the optimal altitude for our first guy. And that maneuver is coming up in a day and a half. I think I'm going to do a quick save because, again, I just don't trust time warping anymore. And we're going to get out there. We're going to perform that burn. I'm noticing the burn takes 0.6 seconds, so I'm just going to really bring down that thrust limiter here. There we go, 9 seconds. And should I trust the X-Man script? Sure, why not? Let's run the X-Man script. Gets ready to do this. All right. Yes, those simulations were from the KRASH mod. I'm noticing this is more radial than it is normal. A little bit, didn't realize as much of this was pushing this sideways as it was pushing it down. Okay, it's coming up to the burn in about 5 seconds. Just want to watch it from here and see how this does. There it goes. I want that to be about 300 kilometers. We can obviously tweak this when we get to Minmus. Hey, I'm not going to complain about that at all. Let's reduce that. I got a feeling I'm not quite perpendicular, but you know what? We'll deal with it when we get there. Let's run again that alignment script for the solar panels. M. There we go. And you got to let it sort of settle out a little bit before you do any of your time warping. Nicey nice. Okay, and then I've learned by hard experience. Come on. Why won't you, if it says here, press delete. Oh, is it done? I think it's done. Can I type here? No, I can't. Why is it says press delete and it's not deleting. Okay, we can do Control C too. I'll do it that way. If that's the way you're gonna be, then that's the way you're gonna be. Okay, let's get out to Minmus's SOI. So I'm just gonna go to here and say warp to here. All right, Minmus, we're, shoot, there it goes. I do have persistent rotation installed, and that it was a little bit of rotation, and then that happened. Why did I close my KOS terminal? I don't know. Open that back up. Let's rerun that alignment script. There. Okay, so what is our inclination at? That is a very good question. Are we in a good 91.7, which I'm sure is fine, but if we can adjust it, why not adjust it? Now, I'm very happy with my closest approach. I don't know which way brings that inclination better, so I'm just going to add a maneuver here. And does burning, okay, burning anti, so it's burning normal. So what I'm just going to do is put on SAS, turn that off there. Now that ended. Put that onto the normal vector. And I just want to get my inclination. See, it's 91.7. So all I want, I think I have this turned way down. I do. So I'm just going to give a little bit of thrust and just watch that inclination. And when it gets down to 90, I'm a happy guy. There we go, 90.0. Our closest approach is 300.2 kilometers. I don't see any reason to adjust that. So we're going to run our circularization script. We're going to create a node that circularizes at periapsis. That's going to cost us 170 meters per second. Oops. So there's our orbit we're going to be in, and we're going to drop our first satellite there. You know what? I'm not going to run that alignment script. It was getting kind of... Just going to do that. I'm sure that would be fine. Okay. I need to up the thrust because the burn's going to take 2 minutes and 8 seconds. But the thrust is low. 14 seconds is a nice length. Okay. So again, I'm going to quick save in case I mess up with my time warping. That seems to be the way I mess up the most. Let's get ourselves to Minmus. And we're going to do our capture here, and then we'll drop our first satellite. This is the satellite that took a little bit of damage, but I think it should be okay. Just way to the south of Minmus here. And this satellite's going to be doing a multispectral analysis of Minmus. 20 seconds to the burn. All right. Still 823. This thing has so much fuel. I am not going to be at all starved for fuel. There it goes. And again, we're aiming for a 300 by 300 orbit. Because I believe, I'm starting to forget now, but I think that was I think it was 300 This one's 250 and this one's 70. Should maybe have written those things down rather than depending on my feeble memory. Okay, program is complete. I'm going to put this onto the normal vector. And the reason for that is this thing's about to burn prograde. And the last thing I need is it to run into itself. Okay, so we are going to decouple. Oh, wait, before I do that, extend that antenna so I have communications. Okay, and then we're going to decouple. And I should be on this guy. Okay, from here we can extend our one non-broken solar panel. And we can start our SCANsat scanner. Say that 3 times twice. Okay, enable that. There it is. That's all it is. That's the entire animation for that. There it is. So that should be now doing a biome scan. And it should all be goody good. I'm just going to adjust this just a little bit for the solar panels. I'm not sure why that's off. Just a smidge, but it seems to be. Oh, because we're in an inclined orbit, of course. That's why. Okay, let's get back to our other probe. And let's put it on. Let's actually manually put it onto retrograde here. That's prograde. I was worried just if I clicked to retrograde that it would... that it would whack into that. Okay, that's probe number 1. Now, this has got to get down to a periapsis of 250. I'm just going to do this manually. There we go. Bye-bye. Good enough. 248. And then again, run circ at periapsis. And we're getting ready for our next burn. We're going to have to... This is a tiny, teeny, weeny little burn. Come on. Burn time. 3 seconds? 7 seconds. Okay. I'm going to put this at point... Well, maybe just 1. What does that give me for the burn time now? 11 seconds. That's better. Okay, I'm going to put this view, and we'll get ready to drop our next one. Yeah, I flipped that decoupler, so notice how the platform disappeared, because the decoupler was stuck with the probe body. The other way you can have these platforms disappear is to use separators rather than decouplers, but then you got the separator floating around, which I find personally exceedingly annoying, so I would prefer not to do that. Let's just roll this just a little bit. Again, just for that solar panel. Okay, let's get down there. Where is Minmus? Wasn't it? Where did Minmus go? I thought we were to this... Am I just crazy? Oh, it's... completely looking the wrong direction. Okay, so we're getting down to our periapsis. This is very minor orbital change, just going from an altitude of 300 kilometers to an altitude of 250. Okay, running that X-Man script again. Said, I'm sorry if I'm going to say this wrong. Haken says that he meant on the second probe. Yes, I think I flipped the decoupler on the second probe too. It's really hard to tell in there, isn't it? Yes, it is. I can see little triangles the other way. So he meant the second probe. So this little platform should disappear as well when we lose this probe. Okay, getting ready to do this burn. There we go. You know what I'm realizing, though? I should have checked this. Shoot. It's too late to do this with our first one we dropped, but I'll do it right now. Okay, it just... Oh, it's really having... There we go. Now I've completed the burn. What is this? Ah, it's fine. I should have, if I open up our SCANsat window here, and we're going to turn on this scanner, and we got to change our celestial body to Minmus, and this one's doing a radar altimeter, so we're going to pick the altimetry scan. And I should have done this. Let's lock this on the prograde vector. Okay, so these lines here are showing our orbit. And as we're doing the orbit, it's doing the scan. You can see it's already done a little bit of the scan right here, right under us. Here's our probe. And as it moves along this orbit, it will be a band coming like this. And the blue part is the orbit that's ahead of us, and the orange part's the orbit that's behind us. And these little lines here represent every time for the next 100 times or something, the probe is going to cross the equator, going either from north to south or south to north. And you want these lines as spread out as you possibly can. And so right now would be a good time. I'm going to adjust this thrust as low as I can. To be honest, this one's pretty good. But if I burn, if these little lines, you just need them to be as spread out as they can be. So if I do a little bit of burning, see, now they're all clustered together. That's not good. I gotta be careful. I only have so many ignitions. Maybe I should stop. I don't think I accomplished much, but I just wanted to show people that's the idea with these little lines, to get them all to be as spread out as you possibly can make them. That's what that's all about. And I didn't do it with the first probe, so I hope the first probe is okay. I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay, let's take this one and deploy it. So we're going to extend this antenna. And we're going to grab this decoupler. There it is. And decouple. And we're going to switch to you. Oh, I haven't been renaming them either. This guy here is Minmus Mapper B. The other one was Minmus Mapper A. I'll rename that at some other time. Okay, we need both of these solar panels to be extended. I know it needs both. Thankfully, not one of these ones broke, because I'm pretty sure this is the one that needs all of its solar panels. Because this scanner works right through the night and uses a lot of power. You can see it needs to be a little bit this way. I want it to be lined up with the galaxy back there. I think that's pretty good. Okay, is everything on? Is it? I think it is. Let's make sure. Yeah, everything is on, so that is good. Okay, so let's get back to this probe, and we will manually go over to the retrograde vector. And a little platform is there, but if I leave it and re-render it, it'll disappear. At least it should. And I'm going to give it the teeniest of little puffs here. Start moving away. Okay. And I want my periapsis now at 250 kilometers. Give you more thrust than that. Or not 250. What am I saying? 70 kilometers. That's what this one's supposed to be at. 70 kilometers. So this one will be a lot closer to Minmus. Oh, that's 80. Silly. And 70 there. That's good. All right, where is that KOS window that I keep closing for some reason? We will run our circularization script. Periapsis. Okay, so we got a 22 meter per second burn. There's still over 1,000 meters per second left in this thing. I think I budgeted okay. I think it's got enough fuel. That's okay. It's better that than the other way around. All right, so that burn's coming up in 2 hours and 6 minutes as we fall down towards Minmus. But just to sort of show people, why don't we quickly switch to the other... Oh, wait, let's rename this one while I'm thinking about it. Rename this Minmus Mappers. Minmus Mapper C. Accept. And let's jump to the original. And when we jump back to this, this platform should be gone. Jump to the first one. And that platform should disappear when I come back. We'll see. Because there's nothing attached to it anymore. Okay, so here's the original one I dropped. And this one should be called... I can see it's sort of... Why don't you just stay where you're supposed to stay? This one needs to be renamed Minmus Mapper A, because it was the first one. And let's just take a look at its SCANsat map. Just real quick, there's nothing I can do about it if this is messed up, because it has no propulsion at all. And, oh, let's change the map type to visual. This is doing a... No, it's not. This one's doing the multispectral analyzer. Biome scan. That's the one it's doing. And it's... Has it not done anything yet? The scanner should be running. I'm a little bit... Refresh this. Come on, Minmus. Okay, hopefully there's not... Oh, maybe because we're looking at the night side. It might think we're looking at the night side. This thing doesn't work if it's on the night side of Minmus, so that could be why I'm not seeing it. It might... I don't know. Hopefully this isn't messed up. Everything's on, so it should be okay. Again, you want these lines as spread out as you can. The way they're kind of clustered isn't the best, so, but it's not terrible. It'll still work. Not that I can do anything about it anyway. Okay, let's get back to our Minmus Mapper C. That one. Finish this off. And, yep, see, platform's gone now. Sometimes it just needs to re-render to realize it's no platform. So there we go, that looks kind of goofy looking. It's like it's got a little pig snout at the end of it, isn't it? Oh, well. Oh, and I don't have other lights on it either. You know what, I'm getting too picky. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Okay, let's again open up our KOS window. We're going to finish this off. Get down there. There's Minmus below us. Oh, we got a magnetometer scan. I got to move that magnetometer. I'll go do that. Okay. And we will run our script, and this should finish this off. I just noticed the notification that the magnetometer scan in low space... we can check this out here. If I go to my science window, little science archive, take a look at my magnetometer report. Space low in the magnetosphere is now complete. That is the magnetometer I put up last stream. So I should now move it up to into the inner belt. We can do that right after this is complete. Where are you, Minmus? We're down here. It's above us. Okay. Got some notifications there that have come up. We'll take a look at those in a moment, too. Okay, burn is complete. Program has ended. We are in. Are we in a good orbit? 70 by 70. That's pretty good. Again, we'll put this so it is parallel to the galaxy. I'm not going to use the alignment script. That seems to be more work than it's worth. The antenna's on. I think it just needs the one solar panel. So we'll activate our little telescopy scanner thing. And again, we might be thinking we're in the night side. It won't do this on the night side. Let's just check to see how we're doing here. So this is, we're going to a visual scans, what this one's doing. What is this? I think it lost, that's the biome scan. Well, that's really weird. Okay. I'm not sure what's happening there. It's counting. It's just, that's what the biome scanner, the multispectral, okay, I don't think it's scanning right now. We could, let's put this on retrograde. I'm going to see if I can adjust this a little bit more, a little bit better. So we're going to put our thrust down as low as it will go. And I'm just going to burn a little bit in the retrograde direction. And we're going to watch these lines. And again, the idea is simply to spread them out as much as you can. So see how they... Oh, am I burning? I am burning. Yep. They're spreading out. They're spreading out. That's good. Stop right there. Right? Because every time you want it crosses the equator, you want it to be in hopefully a different position than the last time it crossed the equator. And that will get it mapping everything more quickly. And again, this scanner won't work. Will not work on the night side of Minmus. It needs the daylight, so I think that's why it's not working. But I think I'm happy just leaving it here, letting it do its thing. Okay, so let's get to our magnetometer satellite, and then we're going to call it. I think that'll be the last that'll end this all off. So let's see, magnetometer. Again, one of the later ones we did. Oh, it's called the OKTO 2-2. I'm pretty sure that's what I called it. Should really call these things something about what they do, but I didn't. Yeah, the multispectral analyzer. John Nowak thinks that the multispectral analyzer also does a visual scan. That's very, very possible. So maybe one of these scanners is completely superfluous. Look at that perfectly blacked out silhouette. Why? I don't know. I don't have an explanation for that. Are the lights on for this thing? So the lights are all on. There's just something weird happening. Hopefully when we get to our daylight, it's going to be okay. But just to sort of explain to people what is happening here, let's turn everything off. I'm going to put on, I think it's B. Yep, there we go. Get our Kerbal information body here. So right now, if I put on our inner belt, we are below the inner belt, but we are still inside the magnetopause, which is that. So we got the low space in the magnetosphere science. So what we need to do now is stay in low space, but get ourselves into this first radiation belt. We're going to do that by simply pushing this thing prograde. Oh my gosh, I can't see anything. The spark engine, what's the thrust to weight ratio? I just don't want this to end up pushing. Yeah, let's reduce this a little bit. I'm going to just do this manually. So we're just going to push up our apoapsis. So we want to keep it, this is what I'm looking for. I want to keep it in low space, which is below 250 kilometers, but I do want it to get up into this first radiation belt. So we're going to burn, and we're just going to push. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have reduced my thrust as much as I did, but that's okay. It's still going to work. So I'm watching my apoapsis. It needs to stay below 250, but I'm pretty sure I can be below 250 and in that belt. Wow, not by... Oh, yeah, there we go. I can see it from here. It's going to be fine. So I'm at 244. Again, we will turn on our KOS here, and we will circularize there. This is time it's circ at apoapsis. So there it creates our Circularization burn, 100 meters per second. Okay. I'm going to, let's see, do that. I'm hoping as soon as we come out into the daylight that this blackout will have go away. I gotta watch it. They don't time warp past. Here it comes. There he is. Hello. Good morning. Okay, let's get out to that burn. And notice I need to increase this thrust because the burn's very short. There we go. So what we should be finding now is that this thing is now collecting science. Yes, Kerbin space low inner belt. So it's in now a new situation. So we're going to run the Xman script here. And it can collect, it takes, I think, 7 days or something like that. I can't remember exactly. 7 days for it to do the entire thingy. Now, while it's here, it should be, I'm noticing there's no warnings, but the radiation should be bad. Oh, maybe it only gives you the warning when there's a Kerbal aboard, but I think the radiation's pretty high. It's about 5 rads. No, I don't think that's high. I don't think the radiation is high. Maybe it's because we're so low in the belt. I'm a little bit worried because I upgrade the probe core because the radiation does affect the electronics, but what I neglected to do was to upgrade the reaction wheels. And I can see something here. Yes, reaction wheels are taking radiation damage. I could have upgraded them. Hopefully they'll be okay, because if this thing loses reaction wheels, well, it does have thrust gimbaling, so there is a second means of attitude control. We can probably still get the job done. All right, so it should now be in an orbit entirely in the inner belt here. So what we're going to do, we're going to leave it here for about 7 days. And once it's completed with that, we are moving on to the outer belt, which is this one. And we'll keep making our way out through the Van Kerman belts. But I think that's all going to have to be for future episodes. So I think for now, I'm going to be drawing this one to a close. Thank you, everybody. Have yourselves a great weekend, and we will see you all again on Monday. Bye.